I don't know when the YouTube starts. Oh, wait, we're on. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. It is. It's our evening. It's a live stream. Breaking news of the hour: Estonia, Russia aircraft flying, NATO violation. That's all in the news right now. Look, guys, we're going to unpack that. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I've been so busy the last couple of hours. I've not had chance to deep dive into this, but what I'm going to say right now is yesterday or the day before, we were talking about the concept of global conflict on an industrial scale. That's happening. It's coming. And we were looking at the Donald Trump visit, and collectively, as a community, we said next weekend, so the 26th, 27th of this month, that's when we came to a consensus that there's going to be a big military development on that date. Now, when I first started these channels, and I was like knocking things out of the bag, and I was saying, yeah, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, and I've continued to do that. When it comes to military tactics, strategy, planes, trains, automobiles, tactics, strategy, all that sort of stuff, I always knock that out of the bag. Not because I've got some magic insight, because I know how the game is played. And the other day on the chat, it was brilliant to listen to you guys coming up to the conclusions. You guys are starting to understand how the game is played. And if you understand how the game is played, you understand the outcome. And right now, ladies and gentlemen, the only outcome is global conflict on an industrial scale. How, where, when, what, how, when, who funds it? They're all things up for debate. But what is not up for debate is the reality of the situation that we are heading towards a global conflict on an industrial level. There's no denying that now. When I started the one, and I think I'm pretty sure I'm the only person, but don't worry, ladies and gentlemen. GB News will start saying industrialized. Sky News will start saying industrialized. And everybody will start to jump on that phrase, as they have done with my other phrases. I'm sure they follow me. And look, guys, I'm not even lying. I'm pretty sure Elon Musk and Donald Trump. I'm pretty sure Elon Musk and Donald Trump follow me. Oh, who said that? Hang on. Tom is saying global. In fact, I've just tried to pin that. Yeah. Tom is saying global or civil conflict. And Tom, I'm saying both. Mr. Nosy, hello, Mr. Nosy, is saying never happen. Unfortunately, Mr. Nosy, it's happening right now. It's there in front of our eyes. And all you need to do is open your eyes and you will see global conflict on an industrial scale. Right, guys, look, I've got right, the chat's going crazy. Right, Kevin Brown. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I can see my monologue is going to take a back seat because I'm just getting the comments here. I do. Hang on, give me a second. Kevin Brown is saying, can you explain? And yes, I can, Kevin. I don't even know what your question is, but I know I can explain it. Does Putin give the nod on everything that the Russians attack, or can generals? Okay, so there will be, like any military, there will be certain things that generals can do, and there will be certain things that they need to get, they're ticking the box from the big man. When we're talking about Estonia, 100%, that would have had to have the tick in the box from the big man. There's no, that is like, without a shadow of a doubt, with regards to Estonia, that will have had to have the tick in the box from the big man. But let me granulate that for you a little bit more, Kevin. So Kevin is asking, can commanders on the ground, generals on the ground, give the go-ahead to do X, Y, and Z? Or does it all have to come from Putin? So the way the Russian military is set up, it's set up in a very well, it is a Soviet military. So the problem with the problem with that type of military in regards to Western military, and this is a problem, it's a problem, it's also an asset, is people, junior commanders here at junior level, where this war should be fought and won, but it won't be. Junior commanders should be empowered to send out their own patrols, send out their own fighting patrols, send out their own reconnaissance patrols, send out their own standing patrols. They're the only 3 patrols, guys. Any other patrol there, it's fake news. The problem is from the Russian side. The problem is from the Russian side, because they are under that socialism, they're always wanting Mother Russia to provide. You know, they don't think for themselves. It has its merits, but on the grand scheme of things, it's not as effective as the NATO military. Now, they've set themselves up differently with the use of conscripts, so I totally get that. You really don't want conscripts with like 2 weeks experience thinking, I'm going to go and send out a fighting patrol. That's not going to work. So, you know, you've got 2 totally different systems here. And this is what people need to understand. I understand it. I understand it more than anyone. And you know what, guys? I'm going to say that I'm a subject matter expert in this field. Do you know what? I'm not even going to say that. I am a subject matter expert in this field. You know what? I'm not even going to say that. I'm going to say I'm a subject matter expert in this field. And if anyone's saying anything different to me, they're how confident I am, guys. That's how confident I am about this, about what's happening in Eastern Europe right now. That's how confident I am with that. So that is the problem with the, you know, the problems, the ups and downs between NATO military and Soviet military. Hang on a minute. So anyway, I hope I answered that question. I hope I answered that question granular enough. Right, ladies and gentlemen, listen, there's a lot. I've got a lot to cover this evening. Like, we are literally sitting on the cusp of World War III right now. I know I've said that before. Now, the reason I say that before and I condense my timeline is because I see this. I see this in my mind's eye. I'm like, yeah, that's going to happen. That's going to happen. That's going to happen. I understand culture. I understand politics. I understand all this sort of stuff. So when you put that together, and I do this like in like 30 seconds in my head, I do in my head in like 30 seconds what it takes governments 3, 6, 9 months to do. So I do have a lot to get through, guys. Let me just go with the leading articles at the moment. So I am focusing, is it that one? That one. I am focusing this evening, ladies and gentlemen, on the air incursion by Estonia, sorry, the air incursion on Estonia by the Russians. Now, I'm just going to read you the headlines. I'm going to come back. Do you know what, ladies and gentlemen? I can see the chats are going crackers on both sides. All right, I'm gonna read the headlines. I'm then going to come back to the chats. I'm then going to go back to the meat of these articles. I'm reading these articles for the first time. Who's this? Is this the Independent? So the Independent, an hour ago or something, yeah, or not even an hour ago, 25 minutes. UK stands with Estonia after Russian jets violate airspace, says Yvette Cooper. Again, I don't see Yvette Cooper as having any. I'll come back to that later. BBC, NATO intercepts Russian warplanes violating Estonian airspace. Can we not just have an airspace? Can we not just have an headline saying Russia violates Estonia? Can we not just have that? We've got a picture of a MiG-31. 12 minutes in their airspace. Right. Sky News, NATO responds after Russian military jets violate Estonian airspace. The Estonian government said the incident involved 3 MiG-31 fighter jets. Now, I don't know if there's much to be taken from the MiG-31, but the MiG-31 is not the aircraft that I would use. That's not the aircraft I would use. I'll come on to that in a second. That flew over the Gulf of Finland for a total of 12 minutes without permission. Okay. And it says it has responded after Russian military jets violated Estonian airspace. They gave a statement. NATO responded with it. So Russia are flying jets and NATO is giving statements. I can see where this is going. In a statement, the Estonian government said the incident involved 3 Russian MiG-31 fighter jets that flew. Is that Vindaloo? Give over. There's an island called Vindaloo. Give over. There's an island called Vindaloo Island. No, Vindaloo Island. Sorry, guys. I thought there was an Estonian island called Vindaloo Island. I do apologize, guys. I really do apologize. Look, just slightly off topic. I'm the guy, when I go to an Indian restaurant, all right, and the guy comes out and he's like, "What are you wanting, sir?" I'm like, "Right, you give me your most spiciest curry and make it even spicier." I take that as a challenge. Anyway, sorry, guys, slightly off topic. So Russian jets flew over Vindaloo Island, not Vindaloo Island. Sorry, guys, that's tickled me. That has really tickled me. I do apologize. Vindaloo Island! They're taking out Vindaloo Islands. The Indians are going to be furious. Over the Gulf of Finland for a total of 12 minutes. Right, they're the headlines. I'm going to come onto the chat. I'm going to go. Then I'm going to go read the articles in themselves. But look, guys, we remember, and I am going to keep repeating this over and over during the live stream. Last week or this week, maybe, we came to the conclusion collectively as a chat, and that's what I want. I want people giving me feedback on the chat. Collectively, we came to the conclusion that we think there's a high likelihood of a big military movement next weekend. So next Friday, Saturday, that's when, if you're following my channel, that's what we are saying collectively. Not me. We are saying it collectively. Because, guys, look, you guys need to get into the game where you understand the rules of the game, where you understand how the game works. You can start predicting the game. And really, I wish I, if I'd spent if I'd have spent enough as much time as I did in the military, in like the financial sector, I would be like a billionaire right now. I really would. I'd be an absolute billionaire right now. But fortunately, I'm not even close. Right, let me get the comments. Lord of Language is saying, let's see NATO F-35s popping into Russian airspace. Ollie 97 is saying, what do you think they'll say next week? Well, let me pin this. Is that pinned? Yes, pinned. So Ollie 97 is saying, what do you think they'll say next week? Well, on our chat this week, we were saying that there's a lot of data points right now pointing to a big military movement next week in Ukraine. Now, this can range from boots on the ground to airspace closed to offensive strikes in Belarus. What's most likely? Honestly, guys, I don't want to say what's most likely. I've been wrong before. But what we know historically, this is correct. There's no arguing. This next statement, there's no arguing with this. There is zero arguing with this. When world leaders meet, Trump, not Putin, Trump, what's his name? What's the British Prime Minister? I don't know. Whoever's in charge of Britain. When Donald Trump and whoever's the Prime Minister of Britain meet, Keir Starmer, there will be normally, historically, this is how it works, not the, it might be the Friday after, but also it could be the next Friday because it takes time. It takes time to tango. Normally the next Friday or the Friday after. In fact, you know what? We could even argue that this is the big military movement. That's when you see the big military move, because what happens is the special forces guys, the people in the know who are behind the scenes. Trust me, guys, I used to do this job. They will all be talking. They'll be having like chocolates and coffee and sweets, and they'll go out for beers, and it will be carnage. It will be carnage. And then they'll go back to their representative countries, because you can't get on the phone and talk about this stuff. So they have to go there face to face, and that takes time. And we all know why things happen on a Friday. So we came to the conclusion that next weekend, so the 26th, 27th, will be a big military movement. Now, I'm not saying that, guys. That's what people on the channel came to the. That's what the channel came to the agreement of. Snowball is saying, what buildings do you think they will target? In what context? In what context? Let me just give a little bit of meat on the bones, guys, from what I've seen there. Three F-30, not F-35s, three MiG-31s, all right? I kind of could go into that, but I'm not gonna. Three Russian aircraft, manned aircraft now. Do you know what? I don't even, well, okay. They could be manned, they may not be manned. Let's be clear about that. Those Russian MiG-31s, they may have been turned into, do you know what? I'm going to go with it. I'm going to go down Raven. Do you know what? I'm going to use my instincts. Raven, use your instincts. Right, let me give this. Yeah. So yeah, I was right. I was right, ladies and gentlemen. I was right. I'm always right. So I'm just going to read this off from Wikipedia, and then I'm going to tell you why they used MiG-35s. So MiG-31, sorry. MiG-31, Russian, is in Russian, is a supersonic interceptor aircraft developed for the Soviet Air Forces under the Mikoyan Design Bureau as a replacement for the earlier MiG-25 Foxbat. The MiG-20, just quickly, guys, the MiG-25 Foxbat was the, I think that holds the world record for the highest flight. The MiG-31 is based on and shares design elements of the MiG-25. Right, is the fastest known, here's the thing, guys, okay, is the fastest known operational aircraft with a top speed of around 3,000 kilometers per hour. It continues to be operated by Russian aerospace forces following the end of the Cold War and the collapse of the Soviet Union. Other operators, not really many. So that was the thing I didn't want to go into this. Now, the speed of that is key. Speed is key, ladies and gentlemen. Like, you know, like for me, I don't know if you've been on the live stream when I've been talking about F-35s, F-22 Raptors. I always say my favorite aircraft is the F-18. The F-18 for me is the daddy. Now, I'm not a fan of stealth. I'm a fan of speed. Be fast. You don't need stealth. Stealth is irrelevant if you're fast. All right, I would go with speed over stealth. But look, let's just. So the Russians used the fastest aircraft, so they understood what that mission was about. It was about getting in, testing defenses, testing responses, and getting out. Now, that is my opinion, my speculation, and it's backed up by Wikipedia. But guys, listen, don't take my word for it. Go and do your own Wikipedia research. What I think this leads to right now, and ladies and gentlemen, the rest of this next statement is for entertainment purposes. It's speculation, and it's totally my own opinion, okay? I would say, I've got to be very careful while I'm on TikTok, knowing different cultures as I do, speaking Russian, speaking Ukrainian, speaking 2 dialects of Arabic, not that that's relevant, I would say this has happened. I would speculate that this has happened. Somewhere, you know how NATO the other day held an Article 4 meeting? I believe that this is a flex. And let me finish. So I think that what will have happened in that meeting is, and remember, these meetings, these Article 4 meetings, they're secret meetings. That information is not supposed to get out there. So what this is really showing is Russian intelligence. Those NATO Article 4 meetings, they said, right, okay, well, if an unmanned aircraft comes over our countries, we have the authority to shoot it down. Yes? Yes. Okay, good. What about a manned aircraft? Because the F-31s are clearly not a drone. You can automate them 100%. Like, I know with 100% certainty, you can make an automated MiG-31. You can, 100%. Anybody who calls me out on that. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, right? When I'm giving you guys speculation, analysis, and opinion, if there are any subject matter experts out there and you want to call me out, and you know what, actually, I don't even care about that. If there's anyone claiming to say things differently than me, they are wrong. They are categorically wrong. I'm right. So the MiG-31 can be turned into a drone. Absolutely. So there's the thing now. So now you're putting all these things together. Right, okay. Article 4 meeting. And again, I've got no inside information on this, guys. Article 4 meeting last week. All the NATO, 32 NATO members came together. You know, they came together and they're like, right, okay. What do we do? What do we do with this? What do we do with this? Okay, right. Well, if any drones come over, yeah, we're going to shoot them down. Right. What about manned aircraft? No, not manned aircraft. We won't shoot them down. This is what I think this means. I think this is Russia flexing to NATO and saying, no, but I can guarantee, I've not read these articles, ladies and gentlemen, but I can guarantee that none of these articles is giving you such a granular synopsis of what's happening right now. So I think that what happened in that NATO meeting is that, right, we're only going to shoot down unmanned aircraft. Manned aircraft, we'll let them roll. So then Russia says, "Oh, right, okay, we're gonna roll through. We are gonna roll through with manned aircraft, and we know they're not going to get shot down," which is a flex on Russian intelligence. Absolutely, that's Russian intelligence flexing. Connor is saying, right. Connor is saying, let me pin this. Right. Connor is saying, can you answer my question, please? Right, ladies and gentlemen, the chats are open. I've got 3 chats open, actually. We are triple streaming. Ladies and gentlemen, we're triple streaming. We're streaming on YouTube. We're streaming on X, and we're streaming on TikTok. Guys, listen, I will try and get as many comments as I can. I really will, but I've got 3 different chat groups going whizzle, whizzle, whizzle. When the chat is open like this, it is chaotic. So I do apologize. I'm preempting my apology to anyone who I don't get the chat to. The comment to. But Connor is very consistent. Connor on TikTok is saying, can you please get my earlier question? Right, let me scroll up for your earlier question, Connor. Where is Connor? Harry, hang on, let me pin Harry. Harry is saying, ego is mad. Harry, have you not seen my videos when I'm calling out Bob Villain? I mean, I'm calling out him as a bitch baguette, and I'm the real baguette, right? Like, Bob Villain is looking at my videos and he's hiding. He's hiding under his mummy's purse strings. So if you want to look at an ego, yeah, my ego is pretty big. I've actually got 3 influencers circling, gravitating or orbiting me at the moment because my ego is that big. Of course I've got the biggest ego. I'm an ex-Special Forces operator. I've done more damage than, I'm not even going to tell you that name, but yes, of course, absolutely. I'm looking for Connor's comment. Connor, right. And you named only 3 types of patrols. Right, okay, hang on. I need to get these. Right, hang on. I need to get Connor's comments. Right, and you only named 3 types of control. There are others. Hang on. Right, I'm trying to get Connor's comments here. Right. Right, the chat's just gone crazy. Right, Connor, can you put your Connor, if you're watching again, mate, can you please put your comment in here again? The chat's just gone crazy and there's too many comments. So Connor's last comment was you mentioned there were only 3 types of patrol, which would be fighting patrol, reconnaissance patrol, and standing patrol. I guess, and although I don't class this as a patrol, you can put clearance patrol in there. So Connor, all patrols come under those 3. All patrols come under those 3 headings. You're either going out to fight, you're going out to do reconnaissance, or you're going out to stand. So just quickly, for anybody who's questioning my military knowledge, all right, the Americans, look, guys, I've been out the military since like 2011. So things will have changed. The military will no doubt have become Americanized. But trust me, ladies and gentlemen, there are 3 types of patrols, okay? There are 3 types. There's no more. It's ridiculous. There are no more than 3 types. So a fighting patrol, you go out and you want to have a fight. You're going out looking for a fight to close with and kill the enemy. That's like the most important, I guess, for infantry. That is it. Like, tick. There is a reconnaissance patrol. So you're going out there and you're not there to fight. So you're in light scales. You're light. You want to retreat. You're not there to fight. You're there to get information. And then there's a standing patrol. A standing patrol is like an observation post, but you're there to fight, but you're there to attack as well. So a standing patrol would be, for example, you go out to a piece of high ground with anti-tank equipment, and you're like, right, okay, our standing patrol is to watch this road. Any tanks or armored vehicles, not soft skin, any tanks or armored vehicles go across this road, we are going to engage those tanks or armored vehicles. There's only 3, guys. There's only 3. Anybody who says there's any more than 3, you've become Americanized, and like the Americans, like, yeah, we're going out for a freedom patrol. What's a freedom patrol, mate? Well, it's a patrol. We go out there and we give freedom to everyone, and it's a real dandy thing. So look, guys, regardless what people think, there's 3 types of patrol. Everything fits in those. And it's easier to remember. People get very didactic about different types of patrol, but ultimately there's 3, and everything, and everybody fits into that. Right, I'm going to jump onto YouTube and get some comments over there. Oh, hang on. Somebody just called me a Walt. Hang on. Right, Connor is saying there are 5 types of patrol. Right, Connor. Look, guys, the chat's going crazy, and I do apologize if I'm not getting it. Right, okay. Connor, Connor, with respect, Connor, good sir, what are the 5 types of patrol? Just put them down. And Connor, can you spam me with those as well, mate? because I may not be able to get to everyone. Connor, can you please spam me, and don't everyone spam me, guys, just Connor, because the chat's going crazy at the moment. So, Connor, can you spam me with the 5 types of patrol? And then when you do that, I'll let you know how that is, how those, the extra 2 fit into the 3. Right, somebody just call me a Walt. I don't know. Oh, there he is, Dale. Dale is saying, you're a Walt, mate. No, I'm not a Walt. I was in the 9th, but I was in the 12th Battalion Parachute Regiment, and I spent 16 years in my 12-year service. The chat's open, guys. I'm gonna let people call me out. I don't mind. Whoa, hang on a minute. Somebody's just put Poland. Are there jets over Poland? This can't be right, guys. Are we literally watching the unfolding of World War III? I'm not getting anything with Poland. Well, nothing's out on mainstream media yet. Oh, 43 seconds ago. Hang on, guys. There's been an update 43 seconds ago. Give me a second. Right, look, guys, stop it with the banter. This is real now. Right, NATO to meet in Estonia early next week to discuss Russia's incursion. Guys, we are getting, like, honestly, can you guys, look, I'll come on to the chat in a minute, guys, okay? Right, guys. Oh, right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying to deal with a lot of stuff at the moment. Right, right, okay, right. I'm going to give you this, and this is from X, right? This is like in the last 20 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, breaking news from the last 20 minutes. Guys, I'll jump back in a minute and give you the banter, right? Look, guys, I can see the banter going on TikTok. I've not even touched YouTube yet, right? And everybody, like, I've got people calling me a Walt, right? Well, I'm giving detailed military analysis, and I'm fine with that. I welcome it. I encourage it, right? But look, let's just all stop calling me out for a minute. You guys we know that I'm ex-military. You guys know from the things I've said, I know what I'm talking about, all right? Let's just calm down for a minute, because we could have World War III declared in the next couple of minutes, all right? And I've not even touched my TikTok yet. Right, 20 minutes ago, 2 Russian fighter jets passed over Poland's Petro-Baltic oil fields. Jesus Christ. Jesus. Okay, right. So 20 minutes ago, well, that's what I'm seeing this article. I don't look, guys. Caveat, ladies and gentlemen. Right, I'm reading this information for the first time. This was posted 20 minutes ago. 2 Russian fighter jets, and again, this is non-confirmed. I can't find anything in the mainstream media. Non-confirmed. 2 Russian fighter jets conducted a low-altitude pass over Poland's Petro-Baltic oil field in the Baltic Sea. Polish border guard informed on Friday. And they're giving Lieutenant Colonel Jacek. So Juliet, Alpha, Charlie, Echo, Kilo. Colonel Jacek. Guys, we are like literally, like honestly. So what I was going to say previously is, remember I think it was last year or early this year, there was an incident in the Baltic Sea again. where there was a Russian warship fired signal flares at a German helicopter. This is how shit goes. This is how shit goes, guys. When people are building up and they're oh, right, okay, they've done that, right, we're going to raise our rules of engagement, right, okay, right, we're raising them, right, okay. So, right, oh, they've raised their rules of engagement, right, we're going to raise ours. Have you got enough ammunition? No, we're full capacity, full capacity. Yeah, we're full capacity. Stop it. We need to stop. Why can't we use, well, guys, look, and I'll say what I always say. If you're in a war, avoid wars at all costs. But if you're in a war, you need to win that war. Also, we need to stop these wars on Earth and start to use that energy to explore the cosmos. That's how Raven wants to roll. But unfortunately, this is where we are. So last year, or maybe beginning of this year, I can't remember, there was an incident where there was a Russian warship. The Russian warship fired a signal flare. Or I don't even think it was a signal flare. I think it was like, I can't remember what it was. It was like inert munitions. Fired those inert munitions at a German helicopter. Now there was no threat to the German helicopter. Let me just be clear on that. But here's how things go bad real quick. Okay, let's go from the Russian side. So from the Russian side, it's like Chinese whispers. The captain of the ship says, yes, fire signal flare at German helicopter. Okay, Yuri, I fired signal flare at German helicopter. Vova, чувак, давай. Fire signal flare at the German helicopter. What? Fire a German helicopter. Okay, Yuri, I got you. Vasnia. Destroy Russian aircraft, destroy German aircraft. You see how that Chinese whispers works? So the captain actually said, fire a signal flare. Yuri then spoke to Vova. Vova spoke to Vasnia. Vasnia's like, okay, I got you. Mother Russia. Da, 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 da. The Germans, through absolute mistake, are like, ja, wir bin Spider-Man, schnell, das Puppenschlafen, ja, ich bin ein Ja. Like, and then the Germans are like, well, yeah, mayday, we are going down, not on your girlfriend, so. Like, and then the German helicopter lands, the Germans are like, yeah, destroy Russian, that's Russian again, isn't it? Yeah, destroy Russian aircraft, make them pay make them pay. And then the Germans fire at the Russian aircraft carrier, and all of a sudden, in the space of like 7 minutes, through a simple mistake, you get World War III and ships being sunk. So, like, that's where we are right now, guys. And all these little things. So, what I think this is here. So, breaking news, ladies and gentlemen, over the last 20 minutes. Last 20 minutes article, there's nothing on the mainstream, guys. I need to be clear about that. Articles on X, 2 Russian fighter jets conduct a low altitude pass over Poland's Petro-Baltic oil and gas platform in the Baltic Sea. I need to be clear about this, guys. It's non-confirmed at the moment. This is the last 20 minutes. I don't know if you guys have seen them. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you guys know how we're rolling tonight. All right, we could be sat on the cusp of World War III. We are sat on the cusp of World War III. What's the beginning thing on the Terminator? As the war against humanity raged, what's the thing on the Terminator? The beginning of the Terminator. As the machines rose from the ashes of the nuclear fire, their mission to exterminate mankind had been fought, but the final battle would not be fought in the future. It would be fought here, in our presence, tonight. Bam, 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 bam. Ba, 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 ba. Ba, 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 ba. Right, apparently it's on Sky News. Give me a second, guys. I'm going to jump over to Sky News. No, I'm still not getting anything. Poland oil field. Let me do that. Oil field. I'm not getting anything, guys. I'm not saying it's. Oh, there we are. There we are. No. I'm not getting anything on Sky News. Guys, I'm not saying it's not on Sky News, but I can't find it on Sky News. Right, guys, look, I'm just going to jump real quick. Hang on. It's very strange you can't find anything. That's got to show up. That's got to show up. Nope, it's not showing up. Right, okay, we're not. Right, okay. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I know you guys are saying on the chat that this is... you can Google Polish media, says Maria Kenzie. Right, ladies and gentlemen, all right. I'm going to jump onto YouTube for a second. So Destiny Workman, hello Destiny Workman, is saying, I've not even gone to these yet, have I? Destiny Workman is saying, do you think Russia, what NATO country to fire first? Do you think Russia want it? Okay, so what I think Destiny Workman is saying there is, do I think Russia would fire first on a NATO country or a NATO country to fire first on Russia? I actually think a NATO country will fire on Russia first. That's what I'm going with, guys. You know, that is what I'm going with. I think, but I do think this would be a lot of provocation. So, and you know, you've got to understand the, you know, you've got to understand you've got to understand the culture here. You've got to understand the culture that people don't really understand. Now, if a Russian, okay, you know, I've got to be careful because I'm on TikTok, right? Okay, let me just give hypothetics, all right? So the question is from Destiny Workman: do you think Russia would fire first, or do you think NATO is going to ultimately? Is Russia going to fire first, or is NATO going to fire first? Well, I think NATO are going to fire first. I do. I think that's the reality. You've got to understand the culture here. Hypothetically, for entertainment purposes, and everything I'm saying is fake, and don't believe what I'm saying. This is just an entertainment video. But when I jump over to YouTube, I'll give you more granules. Let's just say, for example, that Russia, an aircraft did get, let's just say, for example, that if a Russian aircraft did get shot down, then the Russians could say, yes, NATO are shooting our aircraft down. This is unacceptable. But they're going to come, but even if they were violating airspace, they will just say, yes, our pilots are not that well trained. They were lost on simple patrol and you shot them down. The problem here is when, you know, the problem here is when Article 4 gets invoked, and it's been invoked already in Poland, those dynamics will change. So that will change from, right, we're not going to shoot down any Russian aircraft, to, right, we're only going to shoot down Russian unmanned aircraft, to, right, okay, now that we're just going to shoot them all down. Now that's the terrifying dynamic. Right, I can see Connor jumping up. Right, Connor. Right, Connor, can you stop spamming? Right. Oh, right, Connor. Right, okay, Connor. Right, Connor's asking a question here that's a non-question. All right. Right, Connor, thank you for spamming me. Can you stop spamming me now? All right, okay, right, Connor. When we're talking about patrols, Connor, good sir, I promise you, I've done more patrols than you, and I don't even know who you are. So that shows you how confident I am. All right. So Connor is saying, what are the aims? What are the principles and aims of patrolling? Well, there are several principles and aims of patrolling, Connor. So, Connor, before I answer that, I mean, I know the answer to this, and it's I feel embarrassed for you, Connor. That like I feel embarrassed for you, mate. Connor, how many? Before I answer this, and you know what? Regardless whether you answer this or not, Connor, I'm going to answer this question in a little bit. Connor, can you tell me the 5 types of patrol? And Connor, can you tell me how many aims of patrolling there are? So Connor's talking. Connor doesn't think I know what I'm talking about, and that's fine. I get that. I will call that. But Connor, I've answered your question, mate. Can you please stop spamming me with that question now? Like that. That's like, you know, people are getting annoyed in the chat, or send me an inbox message if you want to talk tactics. And if you want to do pairs fire maneuver, that is absolutely fine. I will let you know the 8-section battle drills as they come to me. Sorry, guys. So Connor, let me know real quick. Which one do you want to talk about, Connor? Right, but Connor, I do need to know, because you said there were 5 types of patrol. Google it. I got you, bro. But Connor's saying there's 5 types of patrol, and there is not. All right. So, hang on. Right. So Connor is saying, right. So Connor is saying, oh God, right. Connor, can you come back tomorrow, mate? Because we're about to have World War III, and I'm talking about infantry tactics. Right. I'll deal with it. Right. I'll deal with Connor. So Connor is saying a clearance patrol, and I did caveat to a clearance patrol, but it's not really. I get it. Right. Okay. So a clearance patrol is, in a morning, you would send 2 or 4 guys out to go and have a look around your harbor area. So if bad guys have moved closer, you want to go and have a look at them. Also, before you put your sentries out on a I'm not going to go too much into this, guys, because it's do you know what? Do you want me to give you guys harbor area 101? I can do this. I used to teach this. Connor's asking me things. Connor, if you knew my real name, you can do a Google search and you can find that I've taught, and this is the numbers that are online, over 40,000 soldiers, all right? That my training courses have gone out to over 40,000 soldiers. The real number's a lot more, but okay, we'll go with what Connor's saying here. So Connor is saying there is a clearance patrol. I get that, a clearance patrol. But what is a clearance patrol? Are you going out there to have a look what's happening? By which that would be a reconnaissance patrol. So a clearance patrol is really a reconnaissance patrol, because you're not going to send a clearance patrol out of 2 or 4 guys. You're not, I promise you, Connor, and I don't know your experience, but you are not, I am not, nobody is going to send 4 guys out to conduct a fighting patrol. Not a chance in a million years. And any subject matter expert out there who says that they're, actually, right, I once sent 4 blokes out and they did no, you are not going to send 4 blokes on a fighting patrol. You're not going to send 8. You're going to send a platoon as a minimum strength. I don't care what they say in the pamphlet, and by pamphlet, I mean British military doctrine. I don't care. I don't care what that says. I'm telling you from experience, I wouldn't, in my wildest dreams, send out 8 guys as a fighting patrol. Not a chance. It's platoon strength minimum. Reassurance patrol. Reassurance. What kind of homosexuality is a reassurance patrol? We're okay, everyone. We're okay. It's a reconnaissance patrol. So are you saying, Connor, that when your guys are going out on a reassurance patrol, they're just saying, have some radios, here's some water, I love you. I can tell Connor is not from the airborne forces, all right? So straight away, your 2 caveats, clearance and reassurance, all right? There's no such thing. They are reconnaissance patrols because ultimately your aim, and if you understand the aims of patrolling, which you're claiming you know the aims of patrolling, all right? You would understand from the aims of patrolling that none of those clearance and reassurance make any sense at all. So, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, 3 types of patrol: fighting, reconnaissance, and standing. Anybody who says any different is wrong. All right. So, Connor, I'm still waiting for you to tell me how many aims. I gave you the answer. How many aims of patrolling there are, Connor? Right, Connor, with respect, we're literally, and Connor, can you tell me the inner workings of an internal combustion engine? Connor, can you tell me the uplink, downlink speed of Starlink? Connor, can you tell me the drone range of a standard RF system? Connor, can you tell me all the other stuff that I'm giving that's more important right now as we sat on the cusp of World War III? Connor, did I answer your question competently enough? Right, guys, I'm going to jump onto YouTube. So, the question from YouTube, and it's not the Connor show, so stop spamming me, Connor. Connor, if you want to do a one-to-one, absolutely fine. If you want to do a one-to-one and call me out, I get it, Connor. My name, Connor. What is it, Connor McLeod? John Connor. Sorry, we were talking about Terminator. Right. So, Destiny Workman on YouTube is saying, do you think Russia or NATO will strike first? I'm saying NATO will strike first, but that will be a massive provocation. Anyway, let me jump down. Freddie is saying, Sean, it's on the live article, Sky News, Estonia requesting. Yeah, there we go, guys. There we go. Look, guys, the comment on YouTube. Connor, if you're commenting, mate, I've answered your questions. It's not the Connor show. It's the Raven show, all right? I'm giving you guys what's really happening. Whether you think there are 12 patrols, I don't care. Right now, we've got an aerial war, okay? Freddie is saying on YouTube, Sean, it's on the live article on Sky News, Estonia requests NATO Article 4. And of course, Connor knows all about Article 4. He's a subject matter expert. What does Article 4 mean? What does Article 4 mean? What does Article 4 mean? So Estonia are invoking Article 4. Now, look, guys, I'm not repeating anything I've not said before. I promise you. I'm Connor, and I was told in my military that Article 5 was the most important. Article 4 is more potent than Article 5. I've always said this. Go back, check my videos from over a year ago. Article 5 is nothing. Article 4 actually gives meat on the bones. Article 4 gives the framework and the legal not the legal precedence and the legal framework actually for a preemptive strike, for a strike, you know, where they can't strike. Without Article 4, NATO can do nothing. Even under Article, they can invoke Article 5, but it won't do anything. Lisa Jade is saying, Connor is winding you up, Sean. Connor is indeed winding me up because the things Connor's asking, right? I used to teach this on a daily basis. And like, I'm not going to go down with it. I'm not, that's it. I've answered these questions. From now is saying Terminator will get Connor. John Connor, come with me. Endeavour to Preserve is saying this is funny. Right, let me just jump down because there's like there's over 140 TikTok comments. I'm just going to jump down to the bottom. XOX, hang on. Right, look, if Connor's still listening, Connor, good sir, right now, nobody cares about how many types of patrol there are. People care about World War III, which is the biggest issue. But, you know, I am still waiting for Connor to tell me how many aims of patrolling there are, you know, because I know where he's coming from. I do understand what he's talking about, but he's totally wrong. And you know what? Maybe he's not wrong. Maybe what he's been told is right when he got told it. But I've done this for so many years. And you know the Dunning-Kruger curve, which goes up, and then it comes down, and then it goes up. I am so far Gandalf. I'm so far Gandalf right now. It's unbelievable. Okay, right. Okay, so the comment here is from XOX. I'm going to have to repin this again. Right. XOX, I think I don't think I'm going to get this right. Okay, XOX is saying, how do you think NATO will respond? Okay, so let's just be clear. When we're talking about NATO right now, we are talking about NATO without the United States. That is the reality of the situation, guys. I don't care what anybody says. That is the reality of the situation right now. Okay, so on a geopolitical spectrum, we've just been told that Article 4 has been invoked. Guys, look, this is wild. This is wild. Estonia has invoked Article 4. So now, well, I'll tell you what's happening behind the scenes, and I'll tell you what, and then I'll answer that question. So right now, behind the scenes, Estonia will be saying, right, okay, what do we do if these Russian jets come over our airspace again? The Russians will be saying, you know, the Estonians will be saying, right, what do we do if these Russians come into our airspace again? And NATO will be saying, right, these are the options. You can shoot them down, you can do nothing, or yada, yada, yada. Shoot them down is the, I don't want to say the right option, but I can't think of a better word. As far as I'm concerned, and if it was me, shooting them down would be the preferred option. That's just me, guys, all right? But then the Estonians will want reassurances from the rest of NATO, and they'll want signed agreement that if they shoot Russian jets down, then the rest of NATO are going to support them in whatever shitstorm happens next. So, and they will come to that agreement. And so now you've got this situation where, whereas Article 5 gives no protection at all, because Article 5 states that an attack on one member state is deemed an attack on all member states. Yes, I get it. Connor will have probably learned that at his military, I don't know, Sandhurst or whatever. But the reality is, if you read that whole article, it goes on to say yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. And then at the bottom of it, it says, the NATO Security Council will convene and decide what action to take. To bring stability, peace, and stability to that region. So now, just under Article 5 legal framework, it gives nothing. If the Russians fly over Estonia, do an airstrike, and then they're gone, there's nothing they can do because there's no boots on the ground. Security is still there. You know, there is still peace because the Estonians are still the Estonians. It's nothing. Article 4, and remember, guys, I don't know what gets said in these secret meetings because, unfortunately, I'm not privy to them anymore. But in that secret meeting, NATO will say, right, Estonia, if these Russians fly up, look, guys, I'm speculating right now for entertainment purposes only. If the Russians fly over your airspace, blast them down, and we'll back you up. And then they will sign written agreements saying, right, are you sure you're going to back me up? Yep, Poland signs, Latvia signs, France signs, Britain signs, everybody signs. So like, all right, okay, we got this. We're safe now. That's why Article 4 is ridiculously more potent than Article 5. But people like to talk about Article 5 because it's like a headline catcher, but it means nothing. It really does mean nothing. Right, ladies and gentlemen, we're over an hour. I'm going to jump over to YouTube, and I hope you guys are going to jump over with me. I'm the real look, guys, and you guys on YouTube, I appreciate. I have been neglecting you guys on YouTube. I can see the comments going up. I've not asked you to like, to share, to comment, to subscribe. So much is happening right now. We could literally be sat on the cusp of World War III. We could wake up in the morning. And people are printing WW3 t-shirts. That's how close we are right now, ladies and gentlemen. Be under no illusion. That's where we are right now. So, guys, I am going to jump over to YouTube in a second. I will be closing the TikTok chat down. So if you're going to jump over to YouTube, if you're going to jump over to X, I'm the Real Raven 1 on YouTube. I'm the Real Raven 1 on X. I'm going to continue this stream over on the other platforms, but I will close it down on TikTok. Now, the reason I'm closing it down on TikTok is because I'm not allowed to speak freely. The algorithm, it blocks me, it restricts me, it stops me. It's an absolute nightmare. So if you're going to jump, and Galloway Raider is saying, bring beer, Sean, bring beer. Yeah, bring beer, big beer. I want big beer with vodka. So I may bring beer. Should I bring beer, guys? Are we all bringing beer? Are we all bringing beer over to YouTube? Because I know we can't do that sort of stuff on TikTok. Are we bringing beer over to YouTube? Right, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to close this down. And Connor, if you're still on, mate, and I mean no disrespect to Connor, there are three aims of patrolling. I'm not going to go into them now, but there are three. If Connor's added two, that's fine. Doesn't really matter. I don't care because we're talking about a global conflict on an industrial scale right now. Infantry tactics are going to be irrelevant when you implement conscripts. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to jump over now. I'm going to close this live stream down. But Connor, seriously, if you're on, when the live stream is not as wild, we will get to those. Should I do the three? No, I'm not going to do it. Right. Anyway, guys, I'm closing this down now. I'm going to be jumping over to YouTube. Some of you guys are saying I should be a comedian. This is my problem. This is why I don't work in government anymore, guys. This is why I don't work in government anymore. When I used to work in government, I used to give them the solutions in about 3 seconds. I was say, yeah, that's what's going to happen. And I'd want to talk about aliens and stuff. But, they don't want to talk about that. They want to orbit their own egos. Right, I am going to close you guys down on TikTok. If you're not jumping over to YouTube, if you guys are not jumping over to YouTube, then I'll see you guys in the morning at 10. Look, guys, just let's be aware, all right? Let's be cautious, all right? Crazy stuff's happening. The Middle East's crazy. Eastern Europe's crazy. Little conflicts, other ones will all be jumping up. It's all happening. It could even happen tonight. I am going to close this down now, guys. I'm going to be over on YouTube. So I'll see you there. Am I off? Am I off? I think I'm off. I'm off. I am off. Galloway Raider is saying, totally sure, making people laugh and feel good is an undervalued commodity. Thank you so much, Galloway Raider. And I do, as I understand, you was wanting me to go and get some beers, right? I don't actually have any in the fridge. Can I do a warm beer? Let me go and check them. Right, my beers are still warm, guys. My beers are warm. Right, let me get through these comments, guys. Let me rework this because this violation of over Poland is massive. So what I'm seeing now is these low flies of Russian jets over the Polish oil what is it, like oil, is it a derrick? Is it derrick? Oil drilling, what is it? Oil station? See, I don't even know what you call them. Anyway, the violations over the Polish oil producing facilities in the Baltics. What's the word for it? Or gas station, oil station. I can't remember. That is a clear provocation to say, and look, guys, this is me understanding that culture as I do. And what I'm saying is, that is the Russians saying, we know where you are, we can take you out. Because let's not forget, let's put this in context, the Ukrainians are absolutely blasting the Russian oil infrastructure, the energy infrastructure. So the Russians flying past the Polish, and remember, guys, look, I've said Poland all along. Go back through all my videos. People are saying, oh, what about this country? Oh, what about this country? I've always said Poland, Poland, Poland. Poland is the country that's going to get struck next, if there's going to be a next country to be struck. I've always said it's Poland. Now, there's lots of reasons for that. The NATO bases, the strength of the Polish military, the amount of logistics that are sat in and around a place called Rzeszów. And I'm not giving any secret information out there, guys. That's all. That's open source information. So now we have Poland in the crux of things, in the crosshairs. Now we have the Russians doing a low flyby of the what is it? What would you call them? The drilling rigs or something, like in the Baltic Sea, where they're getting gas or oil. Now, you've got to put this into a bigger context. The Russians are that. I believe the Russians are feeling the pinch now, and what the Russians have got to do is they've got to. Okay, so if you're in a fight, if you're in a boxing match, if you're in a mixed martial arts fight, and somebody throws a combination at you and it hurts, you have to throw back a devilish combination back at them. Otherwise, they're going to throw that combination back. So they've got to think then, right, okay, I don't want to throw that combination again because the last time I got hurt. So that's what I believe the Russians are doing right now. You know, they're looking at potential options, and this is how close we are right now, ladies and gentlemen. Like I've said many times, we're going to go to bed on, like, we'll wake up on a Monday and we'll be like, hey, everything's fine. And we'll go to bed on a Friday and we'll be like, what just happened? That is literally how quick these things happen. Let's rewind quickly. I spoke about this at the beginning of the live stream. Imagine that scene in the Baltic Sea again, where there was the Russian warship and it fired at the German helicopter. Have you any idea how bad that could have gone and how quickly? Imagine now you're I give you the scenarios, but let's imagine this scenario now from the German side. All right. Imagine now this German helicopter. Was it a Merlin? No, the Germans don't have Merlins. I can't remember what helicopter it was, but imagine, excuse me, imagine the German helicopter, whatever it was. You know, they're flying in international airspace, or they're told it's international airspace, but they're also conscious that there's a Russian warship. And their rules of engagement now, because Article 4's been invoked in other NATO countries, the Germans say, yeah, we must increase our rules of engagement. If the Russians try to fire at us, we will strike first. Yeah, German engineering is no match for Russian engineering. No, it doesn't matter. We are German scientists. Yeah, so. Then the Germans raised their sorry guys, does that sound like I've done that too many times? And then the Germans raised their rules of engagement. So now the Germans are like, right, lads, if you get fired at, you fire back regardless. Whatever, whoever it is, you destroy it. So now you can see, through no real mistake, through nothing really, through nothing, through ridiculousness, the Russians fire a signal flare in the area, as they're allowed to do. The German helicopter pilot, he's like, yeah, the Russians firing at us. Schnell. And then I don't know what munitions the the Germans have got on them, but the Germans fire something at the Russian ship sinks. You can see how these things happen by accident, can't you? And that is the problem. I've always said this. I don't believe that anybody actually wants to go to war. But the problem is when you're building these stockpiles of munitions and you're building these stockpiles higher and higher and higher and higher, a war by mistake is inevitable. But look, guys, right now, I believe World War III is inevitable anyway. Like, I don't see any way out of it. Ladies and gentlemen, I guess we're on now. Can you do me a real big favor? Can you hit that like button? In fact, not even the like button. Can you hit the subscribe button down below? If you're watching on YouTube, it's down. It's in one of the corners. I don't know which one. Really helps me out when you guys do that. Can you do that? Just a little hit of your... It's free. What's free in this world anymore, guys? I don't know. And if you're watching on X, please hit the buttons up above because that really helps me out as well. Right, I'll get some comments. Silly Gallardi just saying some Lisa and some heart things like that. I don't know what that's all about, but you guys, maybe you guys need to get a room. I don't know. Lisa Jane is saying, I live alone. Okay. Lisa Jane is saying, I live alone and sometimes struggle to digest what's going on. Only because there's too much different news every day. I'm so grateful for this community. Thank you. Oh, and Lisa Jane, thank you so much. Look, guys, I always try and give you as much objectivity as I can, and I try and give it as best I can. Sometimes I'm just furious and I'm like awash with rage. But I always try and give you guys like both sides of what's happening right now. I do think after what's coming is over, I do think we're going to go into space. I do think we're going to have a fantastic future as humanity. Just unfortunately, we're heading towards cataclysm right now. And look, I mean, we've got people like David Lammy in charge, David Lammy in charge. So that's not a joke. We have people like David Lammy as like Deputy Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. We have people like Yvette Cooper. I mean, we have got now Yvette Cooper, who's going to have to go. I mean, if you thought it was bad when David Lammy had to go out there and speak to Sergei Lavrov, we've now got Yvette Cooper who has to go out and speak to Sergei Lavrov. So, like, we're doomed in that instance. The good thing I think that we have for the United Kingdom is there are no real strategic targets in the UK. Right, Neo Skills is saying, Lisa, no, he hasn't. Last year he said we wouldn't even see 2025 as there was going to be a nuclear war. Oh, right, Neo Skills, Neo Skills, I mean, the most respect to you, but like, I've never said that, and everybody who watches my channel knows I've never said that, because what I've actually said is I don't believe there will ever be a nuclear weapon used. That's like a mantra of this channel. So, but what I want to do is I want to bring everybody's attention to Neo here. So Neo is saying that I've said that we wouldn't see 2025 as there's going to be a nuclear war. Now, I know you guys who've been watching the channel, who watch this channel, you know that I don't believe that a nuclear weapon will ever be used ever again. I mean, there might be some tests or something, but like a nuclear weapon, and I've said this in so many videos, but look how confident Neo Skills is here. And I just want you to look at this as an example of how people try to manipulate. So, and look, I can't see the comments below this, but I can pretty much guarantee people are saying in the comments right now that no, Sean actually says that he doesn't think nuclear weapons will be used. And that's what I say. And the reason I say this is because I think it was the beginning of this year or the back end of last year, when the Ukrainians went into the Kursk region of Russia, I was like, right, that's the prime time for Putin to use a nuclear weapon. it didn't happen. Now, looking deeper into that, I think there's some sort of interdimensional, and I don't want to go deeper into it now, guys. It's a bit of a wild theory. I've talked about it before, but I think there's a deeper interdimensional reason why nobody is ever going to use nuclear weapons again. So just, you know, I thank you for your comment, Neo Skills. But you're absolutely wrong. And everybody who's been watching my channel knows that you're wrong. So, and I've never said that, but good luck. David O'Rourke. Oh, hang on, let me get this first. And then Steph here. Yeah, so Steph's just agreeing. Look, I've been watching Raven longer than almost all of you. If anything, he says there won't be no nukes. Yeah, I've always said this. I've literally always said there won't be nukes. But just going back to what Neo Styles or whatever his name is, you know, people, it's very like when people throw these things out there and they're very, you know, they're very articulate about it. You know, people may believe them, but I've definitely never said that. To fight a mythical Russian threat, that's David O'Rourke is saying, to fight a mythical Russian threat, that is a lie. The truth is that the current problem faced by millions of people in the West are a result of years of mistakes, short-sightedness, and the ambitions of the ruling elite. These elites do not think about how to make your lives better and are obsessed with their own selfish interests and super profits. I don't. So, thank you so much, David, for that comment, mate. Honestly, thank you so much for that comment. Like, but can I just say, how are those two things exclusive? You can have them both, right? You can have them both. You can have everything you've just said there and Vladimir Putin taking advantage. Surely you can have both of them. And look, what David is saying is an apart from a mythical Russian threat, I would say that everything else he says after that is absolutely fine. Now, I take no issues with that. So let me just, yeah. So to fight a mythical Russian, in fact, has he said that before? Right, okay, so the first one said, citizens of Western countries, they are now persistently trying to convince you that all of your difficulties are a result of a hostile action by Russia. I'll go with this. And that you mispay from your own wallet. Oh. So here's the thing, right? I'm gonna right, okay, so what David is saying, David, if I'm not giving you this perfect, mate, please let me please correct me. So David is saying that the West are looking at Russia and blaming all their problems on Russia and wanting a war to then blame the Russians for the war and forget all the internal policies, which I would say is not wrong. I would say that's not wrong. I would say Russia is the boogeyman and governments are going to do that. But let me ask you this real quick, David. Like, just real quick, David. Let me ask you this. In 2014, when the Russians invaded Ukraine, why did they invade Ukraine? Like, where was the West's involvement then? You know, you have to go back to the first offense, because what David is saying is correct now, and I do believe a lot of Western politicians will be slopish. War in Russia, Putin, war in Russia. I believe that, but ultimately, why did? So this is a direct question to you, David. I mean, you're obviously somebody of cognitive capacity. So, David, why did the Russians invade Ukraine in 2014? Why did they annex Crimea? Why did they take masses of the Donbass region in Ukraine? If you could, let me know that. Sherry Heppelstone is saying, any more news about Russia? Right, yeah, let me get onto this, guys, because Right. We've got, okay, 3 hours ago. Right. Okay. Right. 3 hours ago from Reuters. It's strange I didn't get that. I tried lots of different. Right. Okay. The most recent is from 3 hours ago, which wouldn't. I'll just read it. Russian jets violated safety zone of drilling platform in Baltic Sea. Poland says, Warsaw, September the 19th, Reuters, 2 Russian fighter jets. I'm not convinced these jets have pilots in them. 2 Russian fighter jets violated the safety zone of Petro-Baltic drilling, of our Petro-Baltic drilling platform in the Baltic Sea. Polish border guards said on Friday, adding that the armed forces and other services have been notified. No real update, guys, but it does look like the Russians are blasting their jets in and around anywhere that they feel that they deem necessary. Right, I'm waiting to. Galloway Raider is saying Russia is only rattling the saber. I think that as well. I think Russia's rattling the saber, and they're waiting for one of their aircraft to get shot down, and then they're going to blame NATO, and then that's where we are, guys. So you heard it here first. One of the questions was, Sean, do you think NATO or Russia are going to draw first blood? And I think NATO are going to draw first blood. I really do, guys. Understanding culture as I do, I think NATO are going to draw first blood. Right, I'm waiting for David's comment. David's not responded. So, David, I don't know if you're still on here, David, but David, so with regards to what you were saying about the, Western politicians blaming Russia and throwing a lot of their heat on Russia, I agree with you. Yes, 100%. Let's go back to why that's a thing. Why did Russia invade Ukraine in 2014? Why did that happen? Can you give context to that? Yeah. Fantastic. So Silly Galada here, who is in, as I understand it, in Israel, is saying there is no European leader that is capable in leading in either combat or diplomacy. I agree. And if the United States will not get involved, Russia will just continue with no real response. So, when I say to you guys that what I'm seeing from Europe right now is not a European, is not NATO minus the United States versus Russia. It's not a NATO win, and it's not. And I'm saying that as someone who has a lot of experience, like, trust me. So, and Silly Galadi there is saying, there's no European, and there isn't. One of the reasons for this, like, holistically, that there are many reasons, but this is certainly one of the reasons. Like, who's going to be the leader? Because without a leader, you can't have leadership. And trust me, if you're in a war, you need leadership. So this is one of the reasons, again, with, interoperability of kit and equipment, standardization of kit and equipment, what's the word I'm looking for? When you lose people, the amount of loss that NATO are willing to accept to win this war, honestly, like, looking at all these things and you put them together, attrition rate, when you look at all these things put together, as NATO is now, without the United States, it's not a win. We would need conscripts. We would need clear and well-defined leadership with military objectives in place. We would need full standardization of kit and equipment. We would need interoperability with training and tactics. And without those things, and they're things that the Russians have anyway. They have those anyway. So, that is the reality of the situation we're heading towards right now. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have been fantastic. Thank you for hanging out with me. I'm going to close this down now. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, we may wake up tomorrow morning to like WW3 headlines and people doing WW3 cakes and t-shirts and I don't know, maybe little hats or something. But that is the crux of this video, ladies and gentlemen. Russian warplanes flying over Estonia, Russian warplanes coming ridiculously close to Polish sea drilling rigs, whatever they're called. Guys, look, we are one slip of the trigger finger away from hitting fully blown WW3 on a conventional context. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be going now. Thank you for hanging out with me. If you've not done so already, please hit the buttons, guys. Hit the buttons. If you're up there on TikTok, or not on TikTok, we're not even on TikTok, are we? Those guys are gone. The algorithm swizzles me. So if you're watching on we're on X. So if you're watching on X, click that follow button up there. And if you're watching on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen, and you want to be kept informed of what's going to be happening in the next year, you guys definitely need to subscribe to my channel. Donald Trump, Elon Musk, they are saying things now that I was saying over a year ago. Don't believe me? Fine. Go and fact check me of the videos I was making last year and look how they marry up perfectly now what people from the United States are saying. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close this down now. You guys have been fantastic as always. And honestly, I'm looking at some of you guys and like, I think we have the best looking commenters on any channel. I really do, guys. You guys are fantastic. I'll see you in the morning at 10.